Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be learning how to start seeds from this beautiful Anthurium marmoratum hybrid. So let's get started. Alright, so I have been sent these three beautiful Anthurium marmoratum seeds from a lovely seller off Facebook. And they shipped them to me wrapped in this very moist paper towel, so I'm just going to open that up to expose the three seeds. As you can see, Anthurium seeds are quite tiny, so I'm going to be as gentle as possible to try to open them from here and hope they don't go down the drain. I'm just kind of inspecting the quality of the seeds here, make sure they all look good. Some of them do have a little bit of browning at the tips, which shouldn't necessarily be a problem. And a little time jump here just so I could start the water going. And off the camera, I'm actually grabbing some moss in my hand. I showed you right there. And I'm just getting it wet. It's a bit hard to catch on the camera, but I'm just slowly squeezing the water and making sure that the moss is evenly saturated. That's what I'm doing here, just squeezing. And now what you want to do is squeeze as much of the water as you can out. You don't want super wet moss in order to start seeds because that could actually promote rot. Just gonna put it in these little cups. They're actually food container cups that I got off Amazon. I actually really like these because once you put the lid on top of them, they act as just this natural germination chamber for the seeds. And the best part is you actually don't need to have that much moss in the container, so it's pretty cost effective at the same time. Now what I'm doing off camera is I'm just grabbing a seed, ensuring that it's in my fingers. You can see how small it is, and what you're going to do is just drop it right there into the top of the moss. You do not want to bury it because that could cause rot. But you do want it to lay at least touching somewhat on the moss. And then you are going to put the lid on top and ensure that the seed is not touching the top of the pot. And now on to the next seed. So I'm just grabbing that other little cup, getting another handful of moss, ensuring that it's evenly wet, but not dripping water at the same time, which is when I'll start to squeeze that water out. Just a second, right here, just also grabbing up all the particles. As you can tell, moss is very messy, so my hands get constantly dirty. And although I clean my shower floor after filming these, I always find little pieces of moss somewhere around the area. I'm just making sure that this cup is halfway filled. I don't want to fill all the way up to the top or else the seed will touch the top of the lid and then may promote rot or it may not form the leaf properly. There's another small seed. Again, just gonna let it lay gently at the top of the pot. This is not the best angle for this one. Oh, I also found a clump of something in there. Put that lid on. Plop it down with the other. And then now with the last one. Another handful of moss. Wet it down. Make sure it's moist. Try not to lose all that moss that's in my hand. Honestly, it's the hardest part. Squeeze out all that extra water. Fill in that cup. Making sure it's spread, but I don't want to pack it down too much too, because that could be a little bit too dense for the growing roots. Grab the last little seed, set it gently on top of that moss. This one kind of didn't want to stay where I wanted it to, so I did have to push it around a touch. Really hard to see from this angle, but trust me that it's in there. Put the cap on, and we have successfully placed 3 seeds in moss. I also included a little photo here just so you guys can actually see where the seed is sitting inside this moss. You guys can probably see that the seed is not actually centered in the pot. It doesn't really matter in the long run. I do like to have my seed centered, but this one just didn't end up happening that way. I leave these in these cups until I see leaf growth, which will also indicate that there are roots growing as well. And then what I do is I take the top off and I actually transfer these into a plastic baggie until the leaf or the plant gets too big for its pot. And then I'll transfer over and slowly start to pot up until I have a seedling. And that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.